Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a long time, but stuff's been happening, so today I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an life update. And if you've been following me on my Instagram and my Facebook, I'm sure you know by now that I have a little baby girl. So yeah, today we're getting into the whole story, the whole birth story, my whole year leading up to what's going on right now. So yeah guys, stay tuned. Okay guys, so last year was my attachment year. So I was staying in Harare, away from Bay, was in Chinhoyi. So I got pregnant around May. So funny story was, I was at work and I noticed that I was eating so much, and a friend of mine looked at me and just said, you're pregnant. And I was like, no, never, I'm too careful for that. And she's like, go buy a pregnancy test and like, let's see what's going on. So I actually went to buy the pregnancy tests, saying, let me prove her wrong because she's on my back every day now. So I went and I got my pregnancy test and I tested, like I was in the work bathroom. The first one was positive and I was like, no. Second one was positive. And then I started crying in the bathroom. And then she followed because she saw that it's taking too long. And she found me actually crying and like, I'm pregnant, I don't know what to do. And it was kind of like an emotional situation for me because the year before I just lost my mom and my dad was struggling keeping us all four together, and it was just a headache for him. And I was like, then I get home and tell him I'm pregnant. So I was just like, you know what, let me chill. Maybe this is like a false alarm, something's going on with my hormones, let me chill. So I text Bay and I'm like, I'm pregnant, and he's like, you're lying. He's like, come to Chinhoyi and we'll test together. So I go to Chinhoyi the weekend and then we test another 2 pregnancy tests and it's positive. And I'm like, we'll test next month. So next month comes, we test again, positive. I was like, no, we'll test next month. And yeah, I'm busy, I'm now gaining weight, and no one's seeing this at home because it was mostly boys I live with. So the next month I test again, positive. So I'm like, okay, dude, let's sit down. This is our life. This is now 3 months pregnancy. Now we need to talk about what's going on in the future. And he was like, you know what, it's not like I don't want to marry you, but as you can see, we're both still in school. And I'm like, so what do we do about this? And he's like, do you want to keep it? I'm like, yeah, I'm keeping it. So 4th month comes around, still no sign, like no one can see it. I'm just gaining weight, but it's like people are just thinking, you know what, she's on attachment, she's getting good pay, so she's probably eating her money well. So my dad doesn't even see anything coming. So I go for my first scan because I'm still thinking false alarm because I don't see anything. I go for my first scan and I see my baby for the first time. I tell you, that experience is magical. They show you the head, legs, everything, weight of the baby, and then the heartbeat. Like that experience, I don't know how God made it, but that's the first time I acknowledged that, you know what, I've got a living, breathing thing inside my belly, so I need to get straight with my life now. So I talked to my cousin and she didn't tell me that she was going to go straight around behind my back and tell my dad. But she gave me a heads up before I got home. So I got home and I sat down with my dad and he's like, is it true? And I'm like, yes dad, it's true. And I'm sitting there with that, I'm not even crying, I'm not even like in it and kind of. I'm sitting there like antinamosh. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, there's the scan, there's your mzukuru. So my dad was lost for words and he's like, so what's going to happen now? Whose is it? I'm like, it's Takudzwa's, it's the boy you met, it's his. And he's like, okay, I want to see him. Like, tell him I want to see him. I'm like, hey, my dad owns a gun. I'll become a widower before I become a mother. So I told him, you know what, dad wants to see you. So I thought I was going to chicken out. He was like, okay, cool. I'll come to Harare tomorrow. So I was at work. But my heart was at home. Because I was like, my husband's going to be killed today. I'm going to get there and there'll be like an ambulance and police taking reports. And so he gets to Harare, he sees me because I was working at Westgate shopping. Yeah. So I see him like before lunch and he's like, no, don't worry about anything, I'll talk to him, you know? And then he gets like, I used to stay in Marlborough. So he goes to Marlborough and then he switches off his phone. So now I'm trying to call him. His phone is unavailable and I'm like, oh, he's dead. So I'm like, okay, let me chill. Literally 4 hours later, he calls me and he's like, I'm coming to Westgate. I'm like, okay. I get there, I'm looking at him like no bruises, no strangle marks, nothing. He's fine. Okay, cool. We talk and he doesn't want to tell me what my dad was asking. And he's like, bye. And he goes. I get home and my dad's like, no, I just wanted to ask him, but does he have enough money for you to support your expensive lifestyle? And I'm like, but dad, I'll be working too. And he's like, children are expensive. And I'm like, you know what? We'll see where it goes. I'm rambling now. So, yeah, so that was me telling my dad. My dad was fine with it. He was just like, you know what? He says he wants to marry you, so that's good. Told him to set up a date here, and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was it. So, my pregnancy was actually quite good. I didn't get sick much. My first trimester was quiet. It was just cravings. I loved food at that time. I loved food. I ate like 4 times a day. Second trimester, then my stomach started getting a little bit bigger. I think something happens between these pregnancies. You know, when your pregnancy is illegal, it's MIA. The minute everyone knows you're pregnant, it's like it just overnight just goes boom, your belly's out now. So people are looking at me at work because of course no one will know what's going on at work except for your close friends, and they're just looking at me like, Kunaimi, what happened? So my third trimester was terrible. So my third trimester started around mid-November, December, January. No, it was end of November, in fact. December, January, February. So by then I was Shrek. By then my legs were swollen, my fingers were swollen, my mouth, my nose, everything was just water retention. I was vomiting, I had diarrhea, I had everything that was undesirable on pregnancies. By the time it was December, I was a tank. Like literally, I was literally a tank. Like even the way I walked, I used to waddle. I just walk like one step at a time. So comes the 24th of December, we were racing to get to my husband's home. It was his mother's birthday. So we are all packed up, tageza, chichi, and all of a sudden I started feeling back pain. So I'm like, hey, it's the usual back pain, because any pregnant woman will tell you, like around the time when your belly starts coming out, you get a little bit of back pain. And then that back pain started like doing this. And I'm like, no, it's nothing. So we start walking, we're getting to Patrol Kwiramakom because it's less expensive to go with public transport than to drive there. So we get there to the bus stop, and then now I can't walk. And now it's like extreme pain, I'm holding on to things, I'm like, guys, let's go to the hospital. Or let me go lie down. So I had booked at a closer public, actually private maternity house. home, which is actually really, the people there are really good at what they do. So I was like, you know what, let's not go there, because at this point I was actually fearing a miscarriage, because like things I was feeling and the things the internet was saying, yeah. So I was trying to lie down and trying to get it to different positions, and I was like, no guys, something's wrong, let's go. So we went there and get there, and the, you know, like the nurses there, they're called Anasekuru and Agogo kind of. So the Seguru there just looked at me and like, you're not in labor. And I'm holding on to the chair like I'm just about to die. And he's like, you're not in labor. And I'm like, Seguru, but why? It's like, just check me, Seguru, please. And he's like, okay, just lie down. You're not in labor, sleep. So I slept. And I was like, and then my bae wanted to leave me. He's like, I'm like, but why? We said we're going together. In Anskuzoti, he's actually going to his mother's birthday without me. So I was like, no, we'll go together. I get my pills and stuff like that. And we get into the car, we go to Chivu. I spent 2 weeks in Chivu. It was good, it was nice. I came back and Shrek number 3. I don't know, I was Shrek's big brother by then. I was darker, I was bigger, I was grumpier. Yeah, and that was a couple of days before we got married. So the 12th of January comes, and it was really beautiful. Honestly, it was such a beautiful experience, because looking for the dresses, they sort of just came to us. We went into a boutique and we were looking for my dress first, and yeah, if you want the most depressing time of my life, that was the time when I was in the changing room with all those dresses, and every time they were like either get stuck in my shoulders or get stuck in the hips, or the stomach just popping out of the, yeah. No. So we got the dresses and everything done. It was such a beautiful experience. My dad was so happy, my brothers, everyone was so happy. I think I'm just gonna put a couple of pictures in between so you guys can see. You're forever winning. Yeah, let's get to the real reason why we're here, the birth story. So at this time I was still going to work. So for some unknown reason I was still going to work. I really liked being at work than at home, because at work I'm closer to Bon Marché. I liked fast food, so I'm closer to all the fast food outlets. KFC is right like next door. So yeah, I was still going to work, but my legs were now like matanda. They were now logs by this time. So the week came and I was feeling really, really bad. Monday I went to work and my boss was like, you know what, you don't have to come in in February, because I was supposed to work all throughout February. And he's like, let's sign my clearance forms weekend. So I signed halfway the clearance forms, and then I felt really sick and I was like, you know what, I'm going home. So I went home. Tuesday came, same feeling. I was really sick and I wasn't sleeping well. Like, sleeping while you're 8 months pregnant is the worst feeling. You can't sleep on your stomach because you suffocate to death. You can't sleep on your back because you suffocate to death. You can't sleep on your stomach because that doesn't make any sense. When you sleep on your left side, your right ribs feel like they're just about to break. Same with the left side. So I was actually sleeping seated like this. So I wasn't sleeping much. So Friday came around and I finally managed to get a position that I could sleep in. So I was knocked out asleep. And of course, around that time, your stomach is like sitting on your bladder. So you need to use the toilet like 8 times a night. And the way you're so thirsty, and then I used to sleep with a 5-liter bottle right next to me. So this time, Bay wasn't around. He was at work in Gweru. So I was alone for this week. And I was, not because I was alone by like force. I was given people to stay with, but at this point I didn't want anyone. Like, I don't know what happens around that time. You feel like someone breathing is the cause of your suffering. Someone breathing next to you, that they're causing you pain. So that was it. I didn't want anyone. My mom, my nini lives like it's walking distance, in fact, from my house. But I didn't want her around me at that point. So Friday came, and I wake up to use the toilet to find that I thought I had wet the bed. And I was like, since when do I wet the bed? So I wake up, I change my sheets, I fold them, I put them aside. I go to the toilet, I come back, I sleep. I wake up, same result, I've wet the bed for the second time. I'm like, but this doesn't make sense, God, why? I wake up, I close, same routine, go to the toilet, I go back to bed. I wake up again, same result, I've wet the bed. I'm like, I'm not going to bed anymore. So I was awake, I was reading my novel and stuff like that. Those days were really hot. So this was my routine. I would spread my bed, get up, go look for eggs in my shops, and every time I would go out with my big stomach, people would shout, "Hey wena, ewe, gara kumba iwe, uchazharam road, ewe." So and I sometimes I would shout back. Okay, so someone's come to join us, wanted to shoot with mommy. So yeah, where were we? We're in the part where, okay, yeah. So in the morning I would go and I went to go get my eggs by my shops, because at this point I was eating eggs like no one's business. So, and which I heard is a bad thing. But anyway, I went out, got my eggs, got my 2 liter of fizzy drink. Got back, and I was an angry person at this point all the time. I was like an angry little giant walking around and talking to nobody. Bamba. So I got in, made my eggs, ate my eggs, stripped down to brine underwear, sat on the floor, read my novel. So the whole day I just kept feeling cramps. So there's something called, they called Hicks something Braxton or false alarm cramps or something like that. So I thought those were them, because it was actually the 1st of this was Saturday, the 1st of February, and my EDD said 27th of February. So I was like, they're just cramps. So I sat there the whole day reading my novel, actually finished my novel, and around 5 those cramps were getting a little bit more extreme. So I went to the kitchen, drank my water, went outside, and ran into a tenant Anogara Pampepedu, right? So she just looked at me and she's like, "Is everything alright?" I'm like, "I don't know, I keep having cramps." And she just took one look at my stomach and noticed that Rangaradona, and she's like, "Are you sure you're not in labor?" I'm like, "No, I'm not in labor." And she's like, "Are you sure?" And right at that moment, that's when a burst of water just put down my legs. And I'm like, she's like, "What was that?" I'm like, "I don't know, I think I've been peeing myself the whole day." Because that was what was going on the whole day. She's like, "Ishu payo." And I'm like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, that is it." So she's like, "Sakatuita say, who do we need to call? You need to go to the hospital right now." And I'm like, "No, let's go to my mother's house to confirm." She's like, "Pack a bag." So I get my bag, I pack nonsense around, thinking, it's all just jokes. I don't know, there's some sort of spirit of stubbornness that sits on pregnant women. It's a spirit, that thing. Because if I knew, I would have packed important things. So I get to my mother's house, she took one look at me and she's like, "You're in labor, let's go." So at least I carried money. We get in a taxi, we go. It was like the maternity place was like really close. It's like 15 minutes away from our house. So we get there, and surprise, my midwife is not around. She's at home. So now those cramps are now labor pains, and guys, period pain is nothing compared to, like, guys, I I know people who cry through period pain. I've been one of them, but there was nothing compared to the pain I was feeling. So I was given a bed and stuff like that, and my minding was around. And I started singing gospel songs. If you find yourself still talking to people while you are not yet there, you're not yet in labor. You are in labor, but you're not in labor yet. So that was around 10 o'clock now. 11 comes around, midwife is still not around. This was around like it was on a Saturday, you know. So she was stuck in traffic. If anyone knows Pamashwede, on Saturdays that road is unusable, and that's the road she's coming from home using, and she's coming to the place we were at. So she had to go the other way around. She gets there at 12. So I had already been checked by another nurse, and he told me I was 5 centimeters dilated. So I was like, you know what, labor isn't that painful because I'm already halfway, so I'm going to do the other way, and then soon I'll be holding my baby. That's what I thought. So she comes around 12 and she's like, have you been checked? I'm like, yeah, I've been checked. I'm 5 centimeters dilated. And she's like, oh no, Saka, you have an easy labor. Don't worry about it. Let's wait. So every time I would feel a contraction, she would come and she would rub my back. Every time I would go to the toilet, she would follow me because too many women have given birth in toilets. And she's like, no, I'm not losing you there. So I would go to the toilet and she'd be standing at the door like, I hope you're only peeing. I'm like, so she checks me again at 1, and this time she checks and she's like, you are 4 centimeters dilated, but baby's in breech, so pack all your bags, we're going to Gomo. And I'm like, oh crap, ndakuzufa manje. Gomo. So if like anyone will tell you, there are horror stories that come from, it's called Harare Central Hospital, but people call it Kugomo. There are too many horror stories that come from there. Too many stories of women who die in labor, women who are treated roughly by my nurses and doctors. So I was like, yo, I'm only 22. In fact, no, I'm 23. I'm going to go die in hospital. So she's like, I'm not going to call an ambulance, which I'm really grateful because I did not have the money for an ambulance at that time. Like, they took 180 US from me, a student. So I was like, I've only got money for other things like my stitches and stuff like that. I don't have extra money for anything like that. So she's like, okay, you're going for a C-section now. Guys, I wasn't ready for that. She puts me in a car, she drives all the way to Gomo, she gets there, then I start getting my blood tests, and if anyone knew me in high school, I hate needles, but that pain, labor pain, is more painful than needles, so I was getting needles stuck in me every other 2 hours, 1 hour, people draining blood, stuff like that. So I get in there, I can still walk. The other women were in there, were crawling, some were wumburukaring on the floor, some were crying. Like it was just a harmony of misery in there. And I just walked in looking cool, sat down. I was literally wearing a long black dress. And I just sat there waiting for the doctors to like take my blood and stuff like that. And literally women were just in their own worlds. And I was just watching. The pain hasn't come to me yet. It's not that deep yet. I get processed. She leaves me in the early labor ward. It's around 3 a.m. and now I am dying. Literally, I am dying. Now I've become those women who were wumburukaring. So at first, I'm like, I drank a little bit of water and the nurse comes to me and is like, Samwemvura. So I put the water that side. At this time, the pain tells you to terera. Because you feel like ukaterera, the pain will go away. So I put the water around the side and I'm like, you know what, cool. Now I'm walking and then another nurse comes in and is like, ewe, visa dressing, Davis. She sees I'm still wearing Brian and Roishka visa. And I was like stuck naked. She's like, sit on the bed. So I climb up, sit on the bed. So the early labor or the cubicles are like the top part's made of glass. So you can see everyone. So that don't go to the next, and like everyone is like stark naked. Now like it's like 4 o'clock and I'm in agonizing pain. I'm no longer sitting on the bed. I'm standing next to the bed, shaking the bed. And I'm not, no, I'm quiet. I'm just shaking the bed. I'm ready to break anything in my way. Because now the contractions were like after every, like, I felt like it was after every, like 2 seconds. The pain is like someone's ripping like your limbs apart and then putting them together, and then after a couple of seconds ripping and putting them back together. And the woman who was beside me she was just crying, she was in agonizing pain. And then I see a gurney coming in and she's taken, and I'm like, I'm next. This is around 5 a.m. So I'm walking around angry, like I'm in pain. I'm walking around shaking things, banging the glass, banging the door, pulling the curtains. I'm now mad. I'm like going like this now. And I'm looking at the window and it's slowly getting like brighter. It's slowly like morning is come. And I reached a point where I went to the nurse. I'm like, Doctor was said Gerard Poiri. She goes, no, he's at home. I know where I'm going. It's like at 11. And I'm like, what time is it? And she's like, 8 a.m. I felt so defeated. I sat down and I cried. In swords, I cried. And then the contractions came back and I'm like sitting there like, because I'm being told don't push because your baby is coming with her backside and you can't do that since you're first time. And I'm like, I'll kill my baby. I will kill my baby if I push, but I really need to push. Okay, so TMI, the feeling of, that feeling when you get, like, you need to use the toilet and like you can't wait no more. And you like, you're holding it back in, but it's like, it's coming out. That is the feeling in labor. And that is literally baby's head, or in my case, baby's bum, trying to get out. And I had this moment where I would sit and I would cross my legs and I'll hold it in. I'm like holding it in. So 11 gets there and the doctor comes, and then he's working with other patients, and I didn't know that the reason why he was avoiding me is because my 12 hours of not having any food in my system had not yet because it was like I came in around 3 a.m. so I was supposed to get surgery around 3 p.m. so I had to wait until 3 p.m. By the time 3 p.m. came, I had shouted at every nurse in the ward, every doctor that came to check my centimeters, every nurse that came to check my baby's heartbeat and told me there was no heartbeat. Literally, I shouted at everyone by then. By the time like my gurney came, it was still in the passage, and I literally walked out of my room, like lay down on the gurney, and I'm like, let's go. At this point, I was speaking fluent English. That's how much pain I was in. I was speaking fluent Victorian English. I was like, let's go now. I am in pain. I need this baby out now. And I had forgotten my fear of blood. I had forgotten my fear of needles. I had forgotten my fear of the fact that I was going to be cut open and a baby was going to be pulled out of my stomach. I had forgotten all of that. And so I was taken to the theater, and they were looking at me like, you actually have to lie straight, and you know if you're in pain you cannot do that. And like I'm lying on my back, so I can't breathe and I'm in pain. So by this point, actually all the things that were said about my nurses, they were actually nicer than I was to them, so I'll give them props for that. I get there and they were like, okay, look, there's an injection. So the injection that they usually use hanzi, like they inject you in your spine. It makes the pain kind of either go away or faint, so that they can do the C-section on you. While you're still awake, you can see everything going on, but you can't really feel the pain of getting cut open and the stitches happening. And they're like, we don't have that right now. Do you want to wait? And I'm like, no, I'm not waiting. What else do you have? It's like, we can actually, like, I don't know, we can put you down. And I'm like, so I'll be asleep throughout the whole thing and I won't feel anything. She's like, yeah, you'll be asleep throughout the whole thing. And I started thinking of the instances where I've heard in Paranyatwa, where if you don't wake up in the next 5 hours, they're putting you in the morgue. And some people have had experiences of waking up in the morgue. What is what morgue? Like, you've been pronounced dead. And I'm like, what if that happens to me? And then the pain came back. I'm like, let's do this. So they use like the gas thing. Like, excuse me, I'm an artist. I don't know this whole medicine jargon and stuff like that. I'm not in that area. So they put like that gas thing on my mouth, and I was told to breathe in nice and deep. So I was doing that, and at first I was thinking to myself, this isn't working, and then all of a sudden, I'm gone. So I wake up, and I can't feel anything. And all I can see is a nurse checking on me, like in the far distance. It's like you can see it's like blurry and like bright lights, and you can see a face. I could see her face and hear what she's saying, but it was like coming to me like seconds after I've seen her mouth moving. It's like one of those bad Indian movies where like person's talking and then the audio comes like 3 seconds later. That's how it was like. And she's like, can you see me? I'm like, yes, I can see you. And my throat was dry, like drier than anything I've ever felt, and I couldn't really speak. My throat was dry, it was painful, and I could only whisper yes. And she's like, did you know you had a baby? I'm like, yes. She's like, what's her name? And I'm like, Haley. And she's like, do you want to hold her? And I'm like, yes, I want to hold my baby. So that's when I got to hold Makanaka for the first time, and I held her. I remember I was saying, my angel, my angel. I was like I was drunk, honestly. So I got my baby and I was wheeled out into the other ward where there are other women there, and unfortunately I wasn't allowed to drink or eat anything for the next 12 hours again. That was hard, because here I've got my baby, which I was blessed. Honestly, I didn't think it was a blessing until I met other women in the same ward who couldn't breastfeed at that time. I was blessed that an hour after I had given birth, my baby was actually getting some milk out of me. So she was drinking milk, she was happy. She's not a cry, she doesn't cry a lot. She sleeps all the night. Actually, during the time in the hospital, she slept throughout like 3 days I was there. So the first night I couldn't eat anything, and then the next morning I was told I can now drink water. Yo, it was hard, because every time I drank water, I felt like I was back in labor. And the pain was just extreme. I couldn't sit up, I couldn't do anything. And here the nurses were like when you get into surgery, you get that catheter put in, right? Now the catheter's out. That thing ruins your bladder for a couple of days. Because I was like, the sensation to pee would come late, because the pee is already coming. And I'm like, no, if I was fit, I could run to the toilet, right? No, I'm not that fit. I have to crawl out of bed, and like the beds are high. I have to crawl out of bed, get onto the bench, get to the floor, and then like Nanaira, holding every wall until I get to the toilet. The first time, I can tell you, embarrassing as it was, I did not reach the toilet. I did not reach the toilet, and I didn't bother myself anymore. But I was like, you know what? I'm going back. I just went back to my bed, changed, and went to bed. The second time, I was now a little bit clever. I got to the toilet on time. So that was like my whole experience there. After 3 days, I was allowed to go home with my baby, and my mother-in-law took such good care of me, guys. I was lucky. I was given a mother-in-law from heaven. She took such good care of me. She cooked, she cleaned, she slept with the baby. She was just an angel, honestly. She took care of me for 2 weeks. By the end of those 2 weeks, I was fit enough to get out of bed and do a few things. Then I got myself someone to help me, and yeah, since then everything has been great. So yeah, guys, that was my whole experience. I hope this wasn't too long-winded, because I know I can talk. I can talk. I was given a gift. But yeah, this whole experience really, I feel like it kind of healed my wounds of losing my mother, becoming a mother. Because it did make me cry so many times, knowing that my mother never got to be a grandmother, and knowing that my baby girl would never see my mother. But at the end of the day, it made me heal, knowing that life goes on, new life comes even when life goes. And now I feel so complete with my little girl, even though I hadn't planned her. I was sad about her on stage, but after hearing her heartbeat for the first time and knowing that, you know what, I've got someone to look after the way I was looked after by my mother, blessing, honestly. So guys, thank you for taking your time. If you got to the end of this video, oh my gosh, you're an OG. Thank you so much. And I hope I get to shoot more videos, maybe a little bit of experiences with babies, things I didn't know. I don't know, we'll see. Thank you guys for watching my channel. Please subscribe, like, share, you know the drill. Thank you so much. Bye guys.